Gruzbarg is the Senior Director of Customer Analytics and Research at the company, which is responsible for the development of analytics direction, roadmap, and insight distribution, supporting the entire organization in the delivery of highly relevant personalization offerings. And what struck me about her presentation, I'm sure she'll mention this, but every single day on average, you're creating thousands of unique offers that are going out to individuals. So she'll talk to us about the full reinventing the shopping experience. So, Tamara?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to give a talk in front of the audience that's so passionate about customer insights and analytics. And that's what we are very, very passionate about also at Gilt. I am going to talk to you about what do we think about big data at Gilt, how we utilize it, and why did we decide to make such a big deal out of it and utilize it in the first place. So our agenda consists of a couple of items. I'll talk a little bit about Gilt. Of course, I would love to think that everybody here knows what we do, but still it's probably useful to provide a little background. How we use information, and just give you a couple of examples of very specific projects that we worked on and we found to be extremely beneficial from the business perspective, as well as from deepening the understanding of our customer base. Who we are. How many of you here are familiar with what Gilt Groupe is? Well, that's a pretty knowledgeable room. I guess that's because we are so close to New York City. We are a relatively young company, launched in 2007. We're really pioneers in the category of so-called flash sales, where we could curate a broad range of daily sales. We have hundreds of new sales start every day, and they usually have limited inventory and short duration. 36 hours is our standard, which means that it's very different from the regular online fashion site when you come in and you have a set merchandise. With Gilt, when you come in today and see something that you really like, it's not even a question of will it be available in 3 days. It might not be available in the next 20 minutes. Over the course of 5 years, we've grown from focusing just on women apparel and accessories into sourcing merchandise for men, for kids, home goods, travel deals, and local offerings. So how do we use information? We are usually proud to say that obviously we are an online fashion retail company, but we are also a technology company. We are very proud of the ways we deal with myriads of data elements that we gather on our members in order to make their experience with Gilt better. Because this is a registration site, or invitation-only site, as we call it, in order to shop on Gilt, you have to register, you have to provide your email address, and then every time you come back, you have to log in, which means that we can connect your shopping behavioral patterns on the site, not just your transactional information, but how do you browse the site, what interests you, where do you drop off, how you continue your journey. We can connect all of this information to your email address, which means that we can be really personalized with our offerings. We also provide a lot of information to our merchandisers, right? This is also an extremely, one of the cornerstones of our success is an amazing merchandise that we offer, and that's why people want to come to Gilt and check out what we have to offer. So merchandisers always ask, who are the people that are coming? Because they need to understand basically where to place their bets and what type of merchandise to solicit. From the marketing perspective, it's very important to understand who are the people and how do we talk to them. So, and we understand that it's not just one type of person that comes to Gilt. We have specific groups of people that we identified, and I will talk in more detail later in the presentation about the specific segments, but we use segmentation and data in developing robust and actionable segmentations on an ongoing basis. Contact management. Again, because it's a daily sale and we have something new and exciting every day, we want people to know about it. We send emails on a daily basis, sometimes even more than once a day. We are active in the mobile sphere because obviously our customers are active in the mobile sphere. So you have mobile push notifications, emails, and you understand that it's a myriad of contacts that we really have to manage. Otherwise, people will just throw their heads up and say, just stop talking to me altogether because it's too much. So we pay very close attention to contact management and understanding who really doesn't mind and who really wants more information, who wants less information, who wants information at certain points in time. And then we are a promotion site, we are a marketing site, we are selling products. So on top of the fact that we offer amazing deals on the products, we are also experimenting with different additional offers and promotions that could be tailored, again, to specific life cycles or life stages of the consumer as it relates to their relationship with Gilt. And in order to understand who is the best recipient for what type of offer, obviously we are utilizing a lot of behavioral information. So at the end of the day, the reason we are doing it is because we want to imagine the world, and I'm hoping that we are very close to it, and with some people we are actually right there, that when you ask a question, why do you shop with Gilt, the person would say, because they just get me. So personalizing customer experience. Why do we do that? Simply put, with the amount of information that we have available, we simply don't have an excuse not to be personalized. Just imagine all these sales starting every day. We need to figure out a way to communicate the ones that are most interesting and engaging for a specific person at the point that this person either gets an email or visits the site. So it's absolutely mandatory for us to figure out what are the sales, what are the 3 to 5 sales that we will communicate either in the email or put at the top of the page on the site that will definitely grab someone's attention and make sure that this person continues the journey on the site. We have a proprietary algorithm that's based on what we call implied preferences and explicit preferences. And implied preferences, essentially all of the behavioral patterns that we can observe from the data. So we know what type of products people are purchasing, what type of brands they like. Obviously, a little interesting twist for us is the fact that we change our inventory so often, right? So if we know that somebody is really in love with brand A, when this person comes to our site next week, we will not have brand A. So we need to figure out what to show to this person just based on all other information we have about him or her. And then we also collect explicit preferences. People have an ability to tell us that they like specific brand, and it's also going to be used in the algorithm. Another powerful source of information is what we call waitlisting information. We provide this service when, again, because the inventory is very limited, you might see the brand that you really like, but it's not available in your size or in your color or something like that. You have an opportunity to waitlist this item. When it becomes available, we'll make sure that we will let you know, but also this waitlisting information gets fed into the algorithm because the fact that you waitlisted it obviously expresses your very strong preference for this particular brand. We also utilize brand as well as category level because if you just focus on the brand, taking into account the fact that we are multi-category company, you might confuse brand A for women with brand A for kids, for example. It can lead to some very skilled recommendations. So it's building this algorithm definitely has been an iterative process, and we continue improving on it. We are measuring the performance on the ongoing basis. We are very passionate about making sure that we always know what our algorithm does compared to the baseline, what our next versions of algorithm do compared to the baseline, and we continue optimizing. So what you see on this slide is an example of the email that I would get. I purchase mostly for myself, but then, but then once in a while I would consider my husband's needs and something for my kids, again, the way how I see it. I'm not sure that my husband would necessarily see his needs this way, but that's how I want to shop for him. That's why my email would have images from women's store, men's store. But we would have plenty of customers that either shop within one store and very rarely venture somewhere else. We definitely have people that are mostly interested, for example, in daily deals, city deals that Gilt City provides, and then once in a while they would check out more of a apparel site. So for all of these combinations, we are trying to figure out the best possible offer, the best possible template. But again, with all of these personalization efforts going on, we decided to take a step back and ask ourselves, do we really understand who our customers are? Because what this personalization algorithm does is provide, in our view, that we are obviously continue to test and support the best shopping experience for our customers, but it doesn't necessarily gives you enough high level of insights in order to make upfront decisions. For example, in the beginning of the season, when merchandisers are deciding where to go and what to purchase for customers, they don't necessarily have a luxury of basing these decisions based on prior sales, right? Because they need to have a deeper understanding of who these people are, and then coupled with their insights into fashion world and merchandising world, they can make their decisions. As well as for marketers that are coming up with either particular events, particular communications. Again, it's important to understand from the customer perspective, lifestyle perspective, where they are in their lives, who are the people that are coming to the site. So what we decided to do, and it's been a big project that currently continues, is to come up with the comprehensive behavioral segmentation, which is coupled with motivational and attitudinal insights that we got through primary research, working both internally and with our research partner, to understand what kind of large enough groups of consumer segments we have that would then help us inform all of our strategic decisions, really, for the company, keeping in mind our target audience. Because when Gilt just started 5 years ago, the target audience for the company was really, if you think about the founders of Gilt, 2 Harvard Business School graduates that live on Upper East Side, single girls at the time. Now they both have a couple of kids each. But it's a very specific urban single girl lifestyle for a person who is very fashion savvy and who has, basically share a wallet that she can dedicate to just fashion. When I joined the organization more than 3 years ago, when I looked at the data, I said, you'd be surprised, but the group of people that brings the most money to you looks nothing like that. And it's not to say that now you have to switch and concentrate on a completely different segments. Well, the first thing we realized that the most valuable people that spend the most money on Gilt, are actually quite older than what merchandisers kept in mind. And it's not surprising. I mean, with age, you generally see an increase in income. Older people have more money to spare. 20-somethings, again, in general, on average, they love fashion, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to spare this kind of money unless we are in the future, in the MasterCard future, where their moms can just expend their life trade. Right? But again, it doesn't mean that now all of a sudden you have to completely switch gears and only focus on older women. It just means that you have a segmented population and you have to be sophisticated enough to recognize it and understand that you can come up with a set of strategies that will be targeted to specific groups. And the third example I wanted to talk about that really helps us with personalization of promotions, offers, but also overall evaluation of the customer portfolio in specific segments, and really giving us a lot of strategic insights when it comes to managing the business is the customer lifetime value, which is obviously a very well-respected, well-defined concept. But again, in the age of big data, what we decided to do is instead of focusing on the standard aggregate metric that takes into account just a couple of drivers, expected spend, churn, and so on and so forth, we decided to come up with the approach, what we call essentially bottoms-up approach, right? Build the model that would be able to assign the individual level score, lifetime value score, to every individual in our customer base, which means that there are actually a lot of implications here. First of all, it allows us to be very flexible when it comes to measuring value of specific segments, right? Instead of, again, trying to redefine new approaches in aggregate for specific segments, you just slice and dice information in any way you want. So it lets you understand, it lets you measure all of your acquisition activities, CRM activities in a very precise way, because when you bring in new people from specific new marketing sources, you can very easily see how valuable this source is for you, not just based on the immediate spend, but also based on the projected value that we will get from these segments. When it comes to CRM, when you're trying to figure out how much do we offer to people to prevent specific churns, again, we can differentiate and see who are the most valuable, who are the people with the most potential that are currently at risk, and offer them appropriate treatment. The reason I have, this is just a little example that shows, again, the way how our model is slightly more complex is because we have this very large base of people that registered on Gilt, meaning they provided the email address and they started shopping, but didn't necessarily place an order yet. So they're still trying to figure out what we're about and are we for them or not. And there is a potential there, right? So when you think about valuing your customer base, you cannot just discard this part of your population because they haven't purchased yet. They're there and they will purchase. That's why we are measuring lifetime value of both bases. Customers, these are people that we already have transaction information on, as well as members where their potential will be estimated based on their behavioral characteristics, their demographic characteristics, and things of that sort. So for both of these populations, we estimate their probability to activate within or repeat a purchase within a specific time frame, and how much we can expect to get from them in the future. One of the biggest pluses, and I know it's really an eye chart, it's just an illustration of the fact that when you start utilizing more data in trying to figure out these particular scores, you will uncover patterns that are not necessarily obvious from the start, right? So in addition to the fact that we can have this pretty accurate score at the user level, this type of predictive elements also give us an idea of what type of leading indicators we should look for if we want to, let's say, prevent certain people from churning. They haven't churned yet, they haven't disengaged from the site yet, but they're already exhibiting some worrisome behavior, so we can try and interfere earlier on and hopefully save this person and re-engage him or her, make sure that they continue shopping with us. So to finish this up, I wanted to provide a couple of points on how we approach the analytics as the area within Gilt, and what are the things that are making us successful and let us continue to build on the existing successes. So first of all, of course, as we are in the big data session, lots of data sources and a deep understanding of what they are, what their advantages as well as limitations are extremely important, because you would usually see kind of a negative correlation between the power in prediction and potential coverage of your base, right? If you have several millions and millions of people on your file, you might not have all the information available for everybody. So information that's available for everybody is usually not as predictive as information that's available only for certain groups of people, just based on their activity. And it's important to figure out what is the balance between these types of data sources. Well, the second one, if we were waiting for all of the tools to be available to us 5 years ago, then we probably wouldn't be where we are right now with our analytical solutions. We are deep believers into low-hanging fruits, and you always have to try and start early with whatever you have available, and then basically build your solution based on continuous discoveries, continuous resources. Appropriate test designs and procedures. I wanted to say for better or for worse. It's actually obviously for better. Gilt, starting from our top level executives, is an extremely data-driven company. Nobody wants to make decisions based on their gut feel. Everybody wants to see what the data says, but it also puts a lot of I wouldn't say pressure, but a lot of responsibility on analytical professionals, because we always need to prove, and we want to prove that our solutions work. That's why making sure that there is an appropriate test design from the very start, and then we can report and we can support our findings is extremely important. As you've seen, we are not just one approach shop. We really experiment and we mix and match with new and exciting techniques, mixing them with more traditional approaches, and that's where we find the most successful creative solutions taking place. And obviously, it never stops. If it stops, then analytical professionals would just be out of business, right? You build something and it's done. No, it's never the case. Customer base changes, people change, products change, and we always need to continue, refine, and monitor and optimize. And that's what we love doing.
I think we have time for a couple questions.
Hi, I'm just curious to know this. A lot of customers may have downloaded the Gilt app on iPad or something, but have never made a transaction. So what kind of tactics are you using to make that conversion? How do you nudge these so-called customers to actually convert? I say this because I'm one of them.
Right. Yeah, so actually, I can tell you that with mobile app, it's slightly different, right? Because we do have a lot of people that even visit the site all the time and haven't purchased yet. The difference is that for people that visit the site, we actually have their information because they need to log in. When people just download the app, we don't have user-level information. But it doesn't mean that there is nothing we can do about it. So we started experimenting with personalized mobile push notifications, for example. And one of the exciting things, which kind of sounds geeky, but that's our world. All of these analytical solutions are based on the data that gets fed into our data warehouse that's built and maintained internally. So for a long time, we actually didn't have user-level mobile behavioral information in our data warehouse, but we just started uploading it, which opens huge opportunities for us in terms of real cross-channel management of the communication. Because now we will be able to see how the same person behaves on site and on mobile. And obviously, it will enhance our.
One more question.
How do you make database decisions about contact frequency or the frequency of offers?
So we built so-called opt-out risk model, where we are scoring every individual on the file with their unsubscribe risk score. And this is, again, based on the information we see, the people that unsubscribed before, what type of characteristics they demonstrate, and what type of behavior they demonstrated prior to this event. So based on this profile of people that are at high risk of unsubscribing, we are scoring everybody on the file that hasn't unsubscribed yet. And when we see that certain people start exhibiting this behavior, we are basically just decreasing frequency of communication to them in various degrees. These are all subjects to testing, obviously. That's, again, what I would call more implicit, trying to figure out people's implicit preferences, but we're also gathering explicit preferences where people can tell us that they want to lower frequency of their communications, or they don't want to be contacted through mobile push notifications, and we definitely want to that.
Great. So, Tamara, thank you. So hopefully we gave you some food for thought on big data, or as my researcher really reminded me, it's now called big data. And with that, I think we're going to lunch.
We are. We're going to lunch. The general lunch will be outside underneath the tent. You can follow Ashley, who's right out front.